Welcome back, gang, to Omega Templar, this time level 11 to all the way to 25. I'm level 25 for this video, but I want to talk about the Omega Templar, the changes I've made, and how I'm hitting so hard. As you can see here, you can do big DPS, not even at endgame, but even to start. And most Templar you think are going to be healers, not so fast. You can be just as effective as a DPS, a spellcasting, weaving freak show, and I'm going to show you how to do it. So let's talk about skills first. Yes, I don't have a webcam on today because usually I put my mouse over the keys, and so I definitely don't want that to have happen this time. So let's talk about skills. Alright, since we spoke last time, your Templar probably has hit 15 and got a second bar. So that's really important what you decide to pick there. You get a couple options. I like double destruction staff for pure DPS. However, leveling and going through dungeons, if you're doing group content like delves, dungeons, you might want to equip a restoration staff. That way you can heal pretty effectively. But if you want optimal DPS for this build, I suggest double destro. Okay, let's talk about skills and setup. This is kind of aimed at endgame, to be honest, and a lot of the skills that you're going to get at endgame you can use right away. So what I do at endgame DPS is have usually one bar for single target and then one bar for AoE. So one bar to, lock down one enemy like a boss, another bar just to go clear mobs and destroy stuff. So let's talk about clear mobs and destroy stuff bar first. Actually, change it up. We're going single target first. Okay, so there's two really important buffs that people don't know about in terms of DPSing, and it doesn't matter if you're brand new to the game or you're VR14. These buffs apply to you. The first one here is the crit buff, Major Prophecy. So upon activating Reflective Light, you get spell critical. Now, why is that important? Well, the more crits you have, the harder you hit. It's logical. Now there's two different ways to get this. You can use Reflective Light here, which that comes in the Dawn's Wrath tree. The reason I'm using that right now is because I want to level this Dawn's Wrath skill line to 42 so I can get Radiant Destruction, the beast mode ability. So that's why I'm using that. But ultimately at endgame you're probably going to want to use Mage Light because it gives you so much magicka and you don't have to recast it. Also giving you the exact same critical bonus. You can't stack them, so you can only pick one. But right now for leveling, I highly recommend Reflective Light. That way you can level up the skill line. Second ability is Destruction Staff, Crushing Shock. I like this morph, but you probably want to do Force Pulse at the end of the game if you're going for pure damage, because the other one does more. This, however, does interrupt enemies and keeps them off balance and stun. So if casters in the background, you can nuke them down with that. So I like that. Another really underrated ability and change here is Dawn's Wrath, Purifying Light. Basically, the enemy stores up damage for a while, and then, boom, it blows up and takes 5,000 damage. Now, 5,000 damage at level 26 is an incredible amount. So, and also, it does heal people, and you. So, this is a nice buff that you want to put on enemies. Because when it pops, they are going to do a whole lot of damage to themselves. So, Purifying Light. Also, with it on this bar, we're getting more experience from this skill line. So, that's a really good thing. Fourth ability here is Entropy. Entropy is from the Mages Guild. I'm going to take the Structured Entropy morph, giving me more health. And the reason why is if you have more health, you can put more attribute points into magic. So this is the only buff you can get as a Templar that gives you spell damage of 20%. 20% more spell damage. So the two buffs I'm talking about is Entropy here and the Reflective Light. So you want the spell critical buff and you want the spell damage buff. Luckily for us, we can get this right away in the game and use it pretty much throughout the whole game. So I highly recommend getting those two. Now, like I said, the reason I don't use Mage Light is because you don't level up Mage's Guild skill line by getting experience on your skills. You level it up by getting books. Okay, so that's kind of self-explanatory. Another underrated ability, Repentance and the Restoring Light tree. So now Repentance, they kind of stealth, nerf / buff this. Because you get magicka regeneration by 10% for just having it slotted. That's right, for just having it slotted. And leveling around, you're going to have tons and tons of bodies to kill just from killing endless amounts of mobs. So you don't even need a self-heal on the single target bar if you have Repentance. Plus the added magic regeneration is going to be a huge, huge benefit. Last ability up, Solar Disturbance. I took this over the one with the powerful morph, powerful synergy, because I'm pretty much playing solo. So for me, it deals more damage. 250 ultimate cost. It is nasty. I put it on both bars. Why? I want to level up Dawn's Wrath really, really, really fast. So that's why I put it there. So it's somewhat complex of a rotation. I'm going to show you how and talk you through it here. So you got to do your 2 buffs first, and then so you go 1, or you can start off with 4, 1, 2, 2, 2. So 4, spell power, spell critical. Now we just burn them down. Boom! Look at that. Start 4, 1, and burn, and burn. Dead. Okay, so now if they don't die right away, like if it's a world boss or something, then I put Purifying Light on. Remember, they need to last basically 6 seconds. So if they don't last 6 seconds like that, you're basically wasting that damage. So make sure that if you put Purifying Light on, like leveling around, the mob's going to stay alive for a while. Let's see if we can't ride down here. Alright, we arrived at a world boss, Captain Bones here. So hopefully he doesn't last, 5 seconds or so. But let's show you what the Purifying Light rotation is. First I'm going to put Purifying Light on, get my buffs up, then I'm going to Crushing Shock. Once it's down, I put Purifying Light on, keep my buffs. It's that simple. Purifying Light, spell power, spell critical, burn. As he comes close, I just block. It pops. Oh, someone hit me hard. So if I'm in trouble, I'm going to drop Nova. It's okay. Get my buffs back up. 2 bodies are dead. This guy is hitting me like a truck. It's okay, I got a lot of magic. So I will show you what bar 2 is, and that's the kind of survival bar. Buffs. And burn. And burn. Boom. Oh yeah, baby. That nuked him down. Ooh, I got a level 2. Yeah. Okay. So that's what happens when you have Purifying Light. It's just an extra ability. It's going to add a lot of damage. So really, you're constantly trying to apply buffs. And if all your buffs are up, then you're just using this U key or Crushing Shock. And that's how you do single target bar. Back bar is pretty simple. You're also going to have the Reflective Light on your bar. Just so you can get the spell critical. Also so you can level up Dawn's Wrath. So you're going to have that right there. You're going to have Spear Shard, which is one of the coolest abilities in the game. Once it gets morphed, you can stun enemies with Blazing Spear. And you put it down in a big old area. Like that. Not only is it cool for you, but people can pick it up and get some stamina back. Also, you'll see people like spam cast it to stun people. Don't do that. Leave it in the spot, because it does damage over time once it's in the spot. So hypothetically, you'd mark your territory like this, come in, and then boom, fire up a good old shotgun impulse. Before we get to impulse, kind of an underrated skill, Solar Barrage. It grants Empower, so increasing the damage of neck attack by 20%. It also does AoE damage around you into the area. So the way I like to use this, now I'm going to remorph this once I do PvP for Dark Flare, but for right now I don't have to worry about heal debuffing enemies, NPCs. So hypothetically, I mark this right here, I go boom and bang. So I give my Impulse another 20% damage, which is Fire Impulse. This is from the Destruction skill line. Derpy Derp Impulse. Once you get it morphed, you're going to want Elemental Ring to get some more fire damage. But this thing will hit very hard. It will nuke down enemies, and it sounds really, really cool. So, Reflective Light coming in, Blazing Spear, pump it up, and shotgun, shotgun, shotgun. And you will nuke a lot of enemies. Breath of Life. Breath of Life here is, your go-to heal. And I put on this bar here because I'm going to probably need a lot of heals facing multiple enemies. So for me, it makes sense here. But you could swap Repentance and that sort of thing out for it. I just like Breath of Life there. It's your lifesaver. So I go between Breath of Life as I'm taking damage. If I start killing enemies, then I go Repentance. That's how I stay alive. Like when I got in trouble there fighting Mr. Bones Jones there. So let's go see if we can't find a Dolmen to go take down and show you what this looks like. Well, it seems like most of the portals to Oblivion are closing. So I'll show you what it looks like on some NPCs here. So let's get a whole bunch of folks here. Remember, start out with Reflective Light, Spear Shard them down, and then YOLO in. Solar Barrage, and then watch how hard this hits. Bang! Dead. I mean, they are just dead. And these are level 27. These are the same level I am. And they are just fried. Spear Shard to stun them. Reflective Light. Solar Barrage. Boom! Oh, I can't even get it off. Alright, just to show you how powerful that is. Solar Barrage. 1300. 1100 without a critical. I mean, that's hard. I mean, these mobs have... That's like almost fourth of their life just with the AoE. Let's try it again. So, here we go. Solar Barrage. Bang. 1500. That's an AoE. Yeah, it's nasty. And you'll see just how hard this hits. I mean, look at this. They're getting 1s and 2-shotted. So, that's the AoE bar. It's pretty simple, but really, really effective. Let me get a sip of sap here. Oh, yeah, I'm not an Oregonian. Never mind. So I want to talk about gear. Gear is pretty simple for this. It's kind of like my gear for Laceration, just a little bit different. I'm not going to be so focused on PvP with this guy, so I went a 5-piece Seducers for reduced spell cost. I can't say enough about Seducers leveling up. It has huge magic recovery, awesome reduced cost, and another really powerful set is Torg's Pack. It gives you spell damage with only a 2-piece item. Both of these are craftable and can be crafted really early in the game. And it's not bad for starting out leveling. You're going to be able to cast a lot more, and your spells that you do cast are going to hit a lot harder. And the enchants that I go with leveling is straight up all Magicka. I don't get too complex with attributes or enchants until later in the game. So I just do all Magicka in here, and I put 2 points of my health, I guess, early on. I didn't even know that, but just go straight Magicka. I went with the Mage here for active my boon, which is more Magicka. So the more magic / spell power you have, the harder you're going to hit. That's pretty obvious. So that's going to do a lot more damage. Also, I went Werewolf. Reason being, you're going to need stamina no matter what, even if you're a spellcaster. So it doesn't make sense not to take Werewolf. There's no downside, and you get a 15% combat regeneration. So why not go Werewolf? So some more on the skills and gear. Basically, the Seducers, the 5-piece, you're going to enchant the weapon. And the rings, I got Warlock rings. I actually found these in the zone, and I bought them. So that gives me a 2-piece magic recovery, which isn't bad. Also, I went reduced magic cost on all this stuff too. So it's really helpful to cast spells with all this reduced magic cost, plus reduced magic cost on a percentage on Seducers. And these things that I got can be bought at guild traders, or you can find them in the Mages Guild. These can be crafted, so almost everything you can get is actually pretty helpful early on. I went with these staffs here, Flame Staff, double Flame Staff with Precise. And then also I enchanted them with just a flame damage thing that I found on the ground. So nothing here is super fancy, but it's super effective. And that's really all the gear is. Now let's talk about passives real quick. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions about passives and what do you take. So some of the Templars early on passes are not that impressive, to be completely honest with you, but some of the later ones really are. Just these couple here, you know, increases your critical strike damage, blocking targets, amount of block. That's tank stuff. This right here, Burning Light, is awesome. Give you a 25% chance to cause an additional magic damage when you hit an enemy with a Daedric Spear. This procs pretty often once you get 2 points into it, and it scales off of spell damage, making it really powerful later on. So I love that passive. Increases your weapon damage and spell. That's an obvious one once we get there later. Enduring Rays increases duration of Dawn Wrath abilities by 20%. That's actually really important because almost everything we cast in here is a duration ability, except Solar Barrage. Reflective Light, Power of the Light, Nova, and even Radiant Destruction. So that's really important, actually. One of the most important for this skill line here is activating Dawn's Wrath grants 3 additional ultimate. This can only occur once every 6 seconds. So that's another added reason to use Reflective Light once you get 2 points into here. Because every time you activate it, it takes about 6 seconds to get that dot / the crit buff. Every time you have to recast it, you're getting ultimate. So it's just an added benefit. And this is nice, grants minus sorcery here, so increases your spell damage for you and nearby allies. You're going to want 2 points into that. So that way, you know, you're activating a Dawn's Wrath, you're getting spell damage, and you're getting critical. Awesome, awesome combo. And then here, there's one that's pretty good, which is, let me see, Mending. Increases the healing effect restored up to 10% in proportion of severity target wounds. What the hell that means is essentially the lower health you are, the bigger benefit you get to healing. So that's really, really important if you're going to Breath of Life yourself, saving yourself from death. So I recommend getting those. The weapon skill line is pretty obvious here. Destruction Staff, Trifocus is really, really powerful. Considering heavy attacks will do a lot more damage. Penetrating Magic's really good. Elemental Force is a must-have. Increases the chance of causing status effects. Just anything in here. Destruction Expert's the best one, but that's going to take a while to get. Light Armor, you're going to go for these two first, right away. So reduce magic cost, and you're wearing all light armor. And then also increase magic regeneration. That's going to keep your sustain up way more than doing anything else. From levels, 1 to 15, put all your skill points into this. And if you already have your bar set up, put all your skill points into this. You'll notice a huge difference. Once you start getting up there, you're going to want this one here. So you get some more spell critical. And then for the Fighters Guild, I think I always take Intimidating Presence just because leveling around, it's easy to skip some of the quest. And then Banish the Wicked is really important because you get ultimate for killing Undead and Daedra. That could be, Cyrodiil PvP, that could be roaming around. So for the Mages Guild, the best one obviously is Might of the Guild. But anything in here you want to take, especially since we're going to be using a couple Mages Guilds abilities later on. The race, I went High Elf. High Elf's a no-brainer for a magic-based class. It's probably the most damage math-wise. I'm not a math nerd, but that's what people tell me. Because of elemental talent, increases your damage with fire, frost, and shock effects by 2%. You can put 2 points into that, 6% there. And then increases your magic by 7%. I think that goes up to 10. And then magic recovery in combat. So the High Elf is just geared for destruction. Geared. More magic, harder hitting, and more magic in combat, making it the ultimate spellcaster in my opinion. Some other wild ones you could do is Alchemy, and a medicinal use is a really powerful one actually, because your potions last longer. But with this setup here, you're going to be able to nuke down anything just playing around. So I cannot wait to see what this guy does later on. What I plan on doing for him is basically doing a bunch of dungeons at or around my level with some EP friends and kind of seeing how it performs in a dungeon setting. I've been able to get 2k single target damage on some bosses, which doesn't sound like anything, but at level 26, that's pretty impressive, I think. So I can't wait to see what this turns out to be at endgame. It's going to take a lot more tuning, a lot more adding different flavors for different situations, and especially getting those skill lines leveled up. I can't say enough. Change your bar in and out. So if you're about to turn a quest in and you really want to get Dawn's Wrath to, let's say to 42 to get this ability, I take every ability and right before I turn in a quest, I'll save my bar. So I'll save this as, I'll save bar 1 here. I'll slot every single thing on there and then I'll save it in Wicked's Outfitter. I'll have an add-on description in here and then I'll say, click one button, it's back to my normal bar, but I've gotten 5 abilities for XP. Getting that will increase your Dawn's Wrath so much faster because equipping additional abilities levels it faster. So once you get all these skills unlocked, you start getting all the passives unlocked, then you can slot your bar a little bit better to be exactly the way you want it because you're not worried about getting passives. Class skills, armor, and your weapon are super important to get leveled. Once those go to 50, then you can be a little bit more flexible in what you put on. So that's what Omega looks like right now. Should be doing some dungeon diving series with him later, and it's going to be awesome at endgame. Cannot wait for an awesome magic damage dealing Templar.